Yes. Boxing with the man. Them. It's TOKS again. Just to talk about the pound for pound list. This is an interesting topic because everyone invents and creates their own pound for pound list, and with the recent events with the Ward fight, I just wanted to present my opinion on what's going on. So we've got a situation here where a lot of people are looking at this win against Kovalev in the rematch as putting Ward at number one, and I just want to explain to those who don't have that opinion why number one, he is the number one pound for pound fighter at the moment, and who the other contenders are for that title, in my opinion. Just to talk about the pound for pound list, just as a general. Now, the reality of boxing is that size matters. So when you look at boxing, the idea of the pound for pound list was originally to give the smaller weight fighters some shine, because the heavyweight fighters, common sense tells you, the best fighter in the heavyweights beats everybody else. It's the truth. We can't deny that. So what they decided to do is they wanted to create a situation where, okay, take away the size of the fighter, whose skills plus what they've done at their respective weight classes makes them the best fighter in the world overall, regardless of size. Hence why a lot of pound for pound lists don't actually have heavyweight boxers on it. Again, guys, this is all opinion. You can leave your comments and tell me what you think on that. But this is what my opinion and what I understand. The topic of pound for pound to be. So just onto Ward and the reason why he's pound for pound at the moment. His performance against Kovalev was decisive, in my opinion. His skill set, what he's done at the weights, at super middleweight, he fought guys like Saki Albika, undefeated Chad Dawson. He beat up Froch, who was an A-class fighter. And in that Froch win, he kind of solidified his history, because Froch will go down as a legend for what he's done at the super middleweight division, as in he left that division barren and devoid. He destroyed all the new up and coming fighters such as Groves. And when you look back at Froch's career and you realize that he's only had 2 losses, and one of them came to Kessler, who he revenged, and the other was Ward, who he never did, you get an understanding as to what level Ward was fighting at, due to the fact that Froch didn't really want that work. Then after a long layoff, Ward came back up from super middleweight to light heavyweight and took on some quite decent challenges. He fought Sullivan Barrera, who was undefeated at the time, knocked him down and beat him in a unanimous decision, and then went straight to Kovalev after fighting a filler fighting Alexander Brand. When you look at what Ward's done in his career so far, he is the pound for pound number one due to the win against Kovalev, who in himself is a very, very excellent fighter. The issue with the pound for pound situation for Ward, and anyone that does try and become pound for pound fighter, is it's a case of, what have you done for me lately? What Ward does now is good and makes him pound for pound now, but if the other pound for pound potential fighters do something as good, they can easily take him over. Hence why the pound for pound situation is an opinion based situation, but it's also about recent. It's a mixture of what you've done recently with what you've done in the past, and in what your skill set overall looks like in terms of boxing. So for you to be one of the best fighters on the pound for pound list, not only must you have a great CV, i.e. your history, your historical fighting names and brands are A-class, you also have to have recently done something spectacular, either a spectacular performance or a spectacular opponent. Your skill sets have to be such that your skill sets are imitated across the boxing world. Now, Ward has imitators. I've been to boxing gyms and I've seen people imitate Ward's style, and you can see he's having an influence. So that influential part is key to being a pound for pound fighter. Now, the people biting at his heels, I'm going to list them, and these are my opinions of the top. These are my opinion. These are the top 4 boxers that Ward will be ruined for, or basically defending his performances and his history and his style of fighting against. The first one I'd mention is Rigondeaux. What can I say about the man? Utter beast. His technique is flawless. He's been dropped. He's no fighter in the game of boxing is perfect. He's been dropped. He doesn't stay in the pocket. But in terms of what he done to Donaire, a guy who was the fighter of the decade for HBO, a guy who was undefeated, a guy who was knocking out all that came, a 2-weight division world champion. They were comparing him to Pacquiao. He's a counter puncher. They put him against Donaire and he schooled Donaire. He made Donaire look like he was a dog. simply put. That one win was a marquee name. And then since then, Rigondeaux's had problems getting the great fights, but his skill set is such at a high level that you can't deny that he's part of that class. As in, you see him against average fighters and he makes them look completely disgustingly below par. So he will be there, and all it takes for Rigo now is to get a Lomachenko fight, or to basically capture Jesse Maganano's belt and capture the other belts at super bantamweight for him to push Andre Ward out of there. Another fight I want to mention is the man himself, Lomachenko. A lot has been said about his defeat to Salido, which, to be honest, at that level you shouldn't be losing to somebody like that. But when you look at the contents of it all, he was his second fight in fighting for a world title. That's never been done before in the sport of boxing. His CV at the moment, as in his like record, his history of fighting, has been nothing but good fighters. He has no journeyman on his mantra. So a loss to Salido is understandable, but it does take him down a bit. But what he's been doing recently in beating Jason Souza, beating Nicholas Waters, he destroyed another Mexican or Cuban fighter. I think it was a Mexican guy. Destroyed him. I mean, he's been dispatching of guys with pure ease, and it's been pure brilliance. One thing about Lomachenko as well is the style of boxing he has I've never seen before. His style of boxing is very, very new, and he's shaping the boxing world. He breaks down people's guards with a slap and a punch. So he'll pull your guard down and then he'll hit you with a hook. That's been imitated across gyms all over. His footwork, the angles that he uses, that's been imitated all over as well. Now all it takes for Lomachenko now to knock off Ward will be to unify. Gervonta Davis is there, or go up and wait and beat up Mikey Garcia, or even any of the other people like Terry Flanagan at lightweight. That's all it will take for him to do that. Another fight I'd like to mention is the guy I feel is going to be an issue for a lot of people. Terence Crawford. Big fan of Terence Crawford. I feel he's the Mayweather heir apparent. One thing I'd say about boxing is, if you understand boxing, it's a sweet science, and Terence has elements of that in abundance. He adjusts in every fight he's in. There's no one style for Terence Crawford. A lot of the fighters on the pound for pound list have ebbs and flows. They have certain ways of fighting. They have certain gears and modes. So, for example, I'll use Ward. Ward can fight you on the inside and he can fight you on the outside. He has in pocket work and out pocket work, but Ward can't sit on the back foot and counter. You understand? Or for example, Lomachenko likes to stay around you, fight you at a certain distance, but he can't accept pressure when it's being put to him. He struggles with that. With Terence Crawford, I've seen him fight all styles. I've seen him, he's almost like a chameleon-like boxer. Stay in the pocket and don't get hit. He can move. He can bang with you. He can do it all. His way forward towards unifying the light welterweight division will solidify him. He's already fought great fighters like Gamboa. He beat up Postal. Postal was highly rated, and all of a sudden he's a bum now. Postal's a very good fighter. He's beat British Prescott, the guy that destroyed Khan in one round. He schooled him. He destroyed Raul Beltran. He beat up Felix Diaz, made it look light work, as in he's beating up decent guys and making it look easy. And there's a hallmark sign of a pound for pound fighter. The last person I'd like to talk about as well, who is chomping on the heels, and in fact he's got a fight coming up next, is Triple G. If he beats Canelo, he will automatically knock out Ward from that pound for pound list. A lot of people have criticised Triple G. They've said his opponents haven't been good enough. They've made hurrahs about who he's been fighting. And I'll say one thing: I've never seen a middleweight dominate. Never like this. He's been a champion for 4 years. He's chomping at the heels at Bernard Hopkins' record for most middleweight title defenses. He's never been flawed. His KO percentage is one of the highest, and everyone that meets him gets dominated. One criticism I will say was the Danny Jacobs fight. Not all fighters are perfect, and Danny Jacobs did expose the fact that he is human and he can be beaten. But if he beats Canelo, then goes on to take Billy Joe Saunders' belt and unifies the division, then moves up. I mean, that would take him far. I mean, it'll be hard to deny a man the number one pound for pound spot. But as you can see, guys, and I want the listeners to understand this. As you can see, there's so many elements to this question as to who's the pound for pound number one. It's a day by day thing. All that simply means is that whatever fighter does something spectacular next will take that spot. At the moment, from watching boxing from now to the past of all the active fighters, right now Ward is that guy. Beating Kovalev, a man who's bigger than you naturally, giving him a rematch and taking him out, you have to give it to Ward. But don't be surprised if the next fight that GG has, or the next fight that even Canelo has, takes him past it. So that's my opinion on the whole situation, guys. Tell me yours. I do want you guys to comment and just, if you agree, why do you agree? If you don't, why don't you agree? And just give me some points to work with. So this is TOKS at Boxing for the Mandem, reporting from London. Peace.